Hi everybody, welcome back to the Rebelscom channel. I have a little bit of a sad update video today, and it's regarding my two Ultrasabers lightsabers that I recently reviewed and purchased. Let me get them. So we have the Dominex V4 version, and we got the Dark Apprentice V4 both here, and currently they're both not working anymore because they both have issues. Um, Let me start with the Dominex V4. As you can see, the Dominex V4 is currently missing its power button, LED unit, and it's basically an anti-hilt. Um, the reason for that is there actually were quite a bit of problems with this hilt. Starting off with the battery pack, the battery holder that holds the 4 AAA batteries. That started to shatter and break on me without doing anything wrong. It just started to break. I can show you. This is the battery pack. As you can see, the plastic started to break and the battery started to fall out. It couldn't be held in retention by the springs anymore inside the battery pack. Reason for that is when you purchase your Ultrasabers, please mind that these battery packs or battery holders are made of a very thin plastic, and once you put your 4 batteries inside, you might see that this top part or bottom part, either way, is bulging up a little bit, and that's because the springs pushing up the plastic. The springs are quite tight on these battery holders. They're actually tighter and stronger than the plastic itself. So you see the plastic starts to bend. And after a while, initially the plastic dividers between the batteries started to break off. So I found some pieces of shrapnel, if I may say so, inside my battery holder. So I couldn't really identify what it was till I find that these fins are broken off. And soon after that it started to fall apart all over the place. One of the reasons why that happens is because this battery holder is free floating inside the hilt. So your battery holder is around this area inside the hilt when you get it from Ultrasabers. Now Ultrasabers for some reason don't add any padding for these lightsabers. So that means what happens is the battery is free floating and it has a long cable, so you can pull out the battery holder out of the hilt itself, and then you can replace the batteries. And because it has so much slack in the cable, when you do strikes with your lightsaber, let's say you go dueling or you go spinning, the battery holder will slam back up and down inside against the pommel, which is of course the solid piece of aluminium. So it will basically slam into here. And actually these hilts from Ultrasabers are not one single piece, they're actually 2 pieces. So you have an upper piece and an inner piece, and there's a ring inside. A ring that is actually the upper half of the hilt. So what happens is this battery pack will either slam in the pommel or slam in that ring, that narrow section of the upper hilt. So it's like slamming against 2 solid pieces of aluminium, and this is very thin flimsy plastic, so it will break on you pretty soon if you do a little bit more of spinning and dueling than just sometimes just pull it out of the closet and do some very light playing around with it. So what Ultrasabers actually emailed me and they highly recommend is to use padding inside the hilt. So you have to use a padding on this area. So for example, I made my own padding. I made these out of foam. I will show later how to make them. But I actually place these in the bottom of the hilt, so like this. And then the battery pack is here. And then I also put padding on the top. So whenever the battery pack is moving up and down, it won't hit the metal or aluminium, it will hit the foam. But nonetheless, this plastic, once it starts to break and the tension of the springs is too big, it will shatter anyway. So I had that unfortunate case where that happens. And what also happens is these battery holders are not holding the batteries in very tight. Although the spring is very tight, as soon as there's a slight movement from left to right, that's why you have the Velcro that Ultrasabers give with the battery packs, to retain the battery on the from left to side, right movement, from side to side inside the hilt. However, that Velcro does not really keep the batteries in place. So what happens if you do a hard swing, or sometimes the hilt will fall on the ground. Of course, that happens when, especially when you do spinning or dueling. That's gonna happen, right? This is stunt sabers, so they should be able to endure that. And then the battery fall out of its place, and then there's no more light. So you have to open the unscrew the pommel, put the battery back, and then put it back. And it happens quite often. Even if I use duct tape, it still happens on me. So I was not really pleased with that. And to make things worse, after a few times of having the lightsaber fall on the ground, I had the bad problem that my plastic, because these are plastic power button broke off, and this was the result. As you can see, it's all broken off. The whole top section is here. So this is the outer protective area, and this is the screw cap that goes inside the hilt. This is all plastic, by the way. The switch itself in the middle, the button, is plastic. The outer ring is all plastic. And I have that here as well somewhere. Now here we go. This is the button. So this is the button itself. As you can see, the core of the button is plastic as well. And unfortunately, it's not very strong. It is actually very weak in terms of the design of these lightsabers, because as you imagine, these are all aluminium. Pommel is aluminium, everything is aluminium. You have your polymer saber, which is very sturdy, and then you have a very weak point here, which is a very outwards protruding power button. So yeah, as soon as the lightsaber hit it, it will break and shatter on you. And when that happens, you cannot use it anymore. So that happened at that point. So I had to take out the electronics. And then I found another issue with this particular lightsaber, is the fact that I showed it in my review as well for this lightsaber. This LED unit has quite a bit of motion up and down, because it's free floating inside the hilt. There's nothing that retains this LED unit inside the hilt. That is on its own not really per se a big issue. The issue is that these two cables that coming out of the LED unit have a tendency to get stuck between the LED unit that can move up and down inside the hilt and the cable. So what happens is that this LED unit was moving up and down. Of course, you put the saber deep inside and keep it as snug as possible, but even if you're dueling after some time, the saber might unloosen itself a little bit, because it's only held in place by one retention screw. So because it moved up and down, it caused this cable to shred. It's totally shredded to pieces, because I believe it was cut like this between the hilt and the LED unit, and it started to scuff till it broke. So when I found it, I thought, wow, this is actually not a very good design for a stunt saber on its own, because you have so many loose parts floating all around in the hilt, and they're very sensitive, as you can understand, because they're all tiny sensitive electronics. So unfortunately that happened, and I thought, okay, well, maybe I'm just too aggressive with my hilts. I try to do many spin tricks. Maybe these are not made for falling on the ground from time to time. And then initially I didn't have any issues with my Dominic's V4, but unfortunately today I run into another issue. Is after this hilt fell on the ground, the power button itself got stuck inside this plastic protective part, which I showed you on the other hilt. I cannot do anything anymore. This is stuck. I cannot get it out of this position unless I take apart the whole lightsaber. So what I want to show you with this is that the design of these lightsabers as being stunt sabers is not very good. I don't think this is a very good switch module to use on stunt sabers, given they're plastic and very sensitive because they also stick out so much from the lightsaber. Plus the fact that the batteries are free floating in the hilt as so as the LED unit. This one, oh, now it starts to work. As you can see, this is another issue I have with this Dominic's C version 4. The LED unit pushed in sometimes have the cable. I think it's the same issue as this LED unit from the Dominic's V4, where this white cable is sometimes not connected properly and then I have no light. This is the LED unit. With this version I actually did a lot of padding work on the battery holder. I will show you. Unscrewing the pommel. So we have the same kind of, I removed it, sorry about that. I already took it out. But I put, for example, I put padding on the top of the battery holder. I put tape, duct tape around the batteries to keep the batteries inside the battery pack. And then the Velcro to keep the battery pack moving too much from left to right inside the hilt. Slamming in the sides of the hilt. As you can see, this battery pack having issues. The batteries are not in place the whole time, leaving the lights to stop working, the LED unit stop working, or not. So overall, I'm kind of actually at the moment kind of displeased with the quality of these two lightsabers. They're, I would say, they're very good priced as starter lightsabers. So you buy these for $60 a piece with a saber, light, etc. and a hilt. And I think that's a good price, but they're not made for dueling or stunt. These are not stunt sabers. They're not sturdy enough, in my opinion, to be stunt sabers. That's because of the electronics. I do think they're a little bit on the weak side, and they're way too sensitive. I don't think these are very good setups for stunts. I think stunt setups should be a lot more sturdier. Especially stunt sabers are used to do all kinds of tricks and stunts, hence the name stunt sabers. And if a lightsaber falls on the ground 3-4 times, even example, as you can see in my spinning videos, you can see it's on the wooden floor that I'm practice inside my house. If it falls on the ground, it will be falling less than 1.5 meters because I'm not that tall and the ground is made of wood, so it is not even concrete. So I don't think these sabers are really up to par for doing stunt tricks. And as you can see in the videos, you can see that my skills are not that good yet, but still it is not that crazy either. So as a verdict, I would say these sabers of $60 are nice if you just want to have a cheap lightsaber to start off and maybe take it out from the shell sometimes, play a little bit around with it. But if you actively searching for stunt sabers, for intense stunt dueling or spinning, I do not think out of the box these are very good to purchase. So as a disclaimer. However, the service of Ultrasabers was kind enough to say to me, you can ship it back to the US and they will fix it for free for me. However, I live in Hong Kong, so shipping will cost me around 300-400 Hong Kong dollar, whereas this library costs around let's say around $60 US. So I pay around 30 to 35 US dollar for shipping only. So that was more than half the price I paid for this lightsaber to send it back, let it fix, get it back, and then I get the same exact switch button, same exact electronics inside. So that's not really useful for me to invest so much money, as Ultrasabers is not willing to pay the shipping cost. So this is a disclaimer for anybody that wanna buy Ultrasabers outside the US. Please be mindful. They do provide you support, but you have to pay for it yourself. So that's not too cheap if you live far away like me. I think that's a little bit interesting to say the least, because Ultrasabers still accept me as a client. They should reconsider that if they are willing to pay for shipping cost. But I spoke to Emery and he sent me 2 replacement battery holders because I said I want to fix it myself. Then it's not a hard deal. It's not difficult. You just need a soldering machine and you just slap them on, and it's good to go. Bigger problems are these plastic switches. Now I'm not really a lightsaber technician. These will provide me some sort of a challenge because I need to get a new switch and probably something like a latching switch. I did some research. It sounds a little bit complex. I'm not too happy about that. Now I have 2 lightsabers that don't work anymore. This one is still on, but yeah, I have to take out the battery now to preserve the battery life. Uh, this is not what I want. I want lightsabers. I want to take them. I want to spin and do all my tricks and just practice and then just put them back on the shelf. I'm just not pleased with the product as being stunt sabers, and unfortunately $60 stunt sabers are not that sturdy from Ultrasabers. So that's a disclaimer for you. Of course, I have to say that's my personal experience. Within, let's say, a month or so, 2 broken Ultrasaber lightsabers. However, you might not experience any of these issues. You might not do the same kind of tricks like me, or don't play with your lightsabers too often as I do. I play with them every day for 1.5 hours, as a disclaimer as well. So different experience, different people. But for me personally, I will not purchase any Ultrasaber lightsabers anymore that are in the budget of $60. I learned my lesson now. I don't. For me personally, these kind of battery pack holder solutions are not doing the trick for me. They're too heavy. Too heavy. They are too prone for having issues, broken plastic, falling out batteries, etc. It's too finicky. Also, when the battery is nearly empty, you have to take them out. It's just not working good for me. I also asked Emery from Ultrasabers, why don't you disclaim on your website to use foam or padding inside the hilts? I didn't get a reply back on that. I highly recommend Ultrasaber start doing that, because if you're like me and you don't know much about lightsabers in the beginning, you will run in issues like this where you will have broken pieces of battery packs, or maybe not. Maybe you don't experience that. Maybe I'm very unlucky. That might be as well. So yeah, personally for me, I won't buy these Ultrasaber lightsabers anymore. The ones in this kind of configuration and this price range, I really dislike this power button type. I really don't like the battery holder type with the battery. I don't like the free floating LEDs. That is, I believe, on nearly all lightsabers, or if not all lightsabers from Ultrasabers. I really dislike that design, and that's maybe also one of the reasons why I will not purchase any Ultrasabers anymore. Because I simply think though that kind of design is not strong enough for dueling, for me at least. So yeah, please take your own conclusion, share your thoughts, share your verdict, share your ideas about the video just made. You might totally not experience the same issues that I did, and I'm very happy customer of Ultrasabers, and I'm really happy for you. But for me personally, with my usage, my rough usage, maybe my way of experience these devices, maybe I'm haunted, maybe I'm doomed, I don't know, but yeah, unfortunately, they don't hold up to me, simply said. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get different switches. I'm gonna get somebody to put in actually different battery packs. I'm not gonna use these ones. I'm gonna get lithium ion batteries, so 2 batteries of 3.7 voltage and different switches, as I said. Ask somebody to fix the LED unit inside the hilt with a retention screw like this for the blade, because I do like the hilts a lot. I do think the hilts are worth it. For $30-40 range, I think these hilts empty if you do it yourself. the electronics. I think they're perfect. They're very nice for dueling. The grips are very nice. Everything is very nice about them. They have great potential for customization for that price range. But out of the box, as you get it, as a product, as a whole, I don't think they're worthy to call them stunt sabers. So I hope you liked the video, and I hope to see you in the next video. Because in the next video I will be reviewing two lightsabers from Saberforge. I got an Acolyte and I got a Consular on its way. And there will be a third Saberforge lightsaber on its way as well next month. So yeah, we're gonna take a look at 3 Saberforge lightsabers. Furthermore, one of my good buddies at my work has 8 Ultrasabers lightsabers, which I also gonna take a look at and review. So it's not like I'm gonna end doing reviews on Ultrasabers, because I keep open-minded. I do believe in Ultrasabers. I think they have a very good price range, but the products is not as I expected for $60. Fair enough, right? So thank you for watching, and stay scummy.